poised with the terrible reality of the textile industry and its environment impact. A group of Argentine brothers created a company dedicated to the production of sustainable clothing called the Industry of All Nations. Although each business model demands high expense and could not function at a macro level since it is not an industrialist. Far if more companies committed to producing sustainable garments is might be possible to make a significant part of the demand. It is why the participation of mass-produced brands or in favor of the environment would boycott. If change are an intrinsic part of fashion, human beings of the 21st century are witnessing a profound transformation. The eco-fashion philosophy seeks to generate an industry responsible for the environment and society. Fashion production during the 20th century and for in the 21st has had a considerable impact on the environment. This trend, called eco-fashion, seeks to take care of the planet and reduce the use of chemicals and polluting gas emissions, explains the synthesized living. Producing its path required and the speed of the changing season and led to clothing. The care of natural resources in the country. The environmental organization Greenpeace has detected alarming levels of chemicals and pollution in various rivers in the country and indicate that among the actors that contributed to this panorama are textile producers. The Detox Fashion campaign has sought the commitment of brands to eliminate bad practices when making their products. Spain Sinai Guevara, campaign coordinator and Greenpeace Mexico, campaigns like in the state do West Sahara and Versa Lebanon, as well as Victoria's Secret, Benetton Mango and H&M, have embraced the ecological trend and have hype encouraging results. He adds, the sustainability report of the Succeres brand indicates that in 2014 it became the main consumer of certified organic canned when was used in 21% of which products. By 2020, H&M products that 100% of its garments will be made from this can't.
H&M is doing different things to contribute to a more sustainable fashion industry, looking at sort of our responsibility and our production, the suppliers that we work with, and not the least now increasingly more also on the products that we are working with. We go for more and more sustainable materials these days, and for example organic cotton. And what we can see is that it's actually being increasingly appreciated by our customers as well. I like to go down to the store occasionally to see the products actually hanging there where we meet our customers and see and meet the customers as well and sort of get a feel for if they actually appreciate this or not.
I know there are a few lines that are ecological produced.
I think when you look at it though that you should really consider where it's coming from, where it's made, what it's made out of, just to be a little bit more conscious of what's going on in the world.
I would like to welcome you to this speculative talk on sustainable fashion.
Cooperation and partnerships with different organizations and companies are important for H&M out of different reasons. And the challenges are often the same we face, and we have sort of a common agenda.
We covered quite a lot of ground already. We talked about organic cotton, we talked about water, we talked about the need for collaboration.
Most of the initiatives that are taking place in the fashion industry are to do with I think materials. So that at least is what the user would say. So the shift from using predominantly conventionally farmed cotton to organic cotton, that's something that's quite visible to the user.
Often these discussions that they tend to be about cotton, since cotton is the most important fiber. So when we talk about sustainability in the fashion industry, we talk about sustainable cotton or organic cotton.
Organic cotton, that is cotton that has been cultivated without use of harmful chemicals, such as pesticides and chemical fertilizers. H&M work with organic cotton for different reasons. First of all, it's better for the farmers, it's better for the environment, and then it's also something that our customers increasingly is appreciating.
As a customer, I think the best thing is to ask. You can always go into the shop and ask where is this garment produced, under what conditions, what are your labor practices, where does the cotton come from.
The customers have very precise and good things they can do. They can make sure that they only buy favorite garments. That's one thing that's very good. They can wash their clothes at lower temperatures and less often, and that actually has a massive effect, because if we look at something like a t-shirt, the laundry and the user phase can actually account for up to 85% of the total energy cost across the product's life cycle, which is massive. So washing at lower temperatures, not using a tumble dryer has a massive effect.
I mean, the Garden Collection is one of the examples on how we are trying to contribute to a better environment with the products and making it possible for the customers also to choose something which is actually better for the environment.
One season we'll recycle over 100,000 sweaters, wool sweaters that would be basically destined for landfill. Fashion is either the largest or one of the largest damaging industries to the planet, which is crazy. And then the whole fast fashion has just ranked it up. Now this demand for constantly new clothes, new clothes, new clothes, new clothes, and everyone trying to keep up with it. It's crazy. So a big trend in the fashion industry is being labeled slow fashion. Okay. And that's a big one that you'll see getting a lot of traction right now. Pre-loved is, I always say, is an incredible clothing concept. What we do is we take vintage clothing, we completely deconstruct it, we turn it into fabric, and then we blend that with new fabric, with dead stock materials, overrun materials, pretty much whatever we get our hands on to create new clothing that is truly unique. All of our clothes are made in Canada, every single piece, and that's something we're extremely proud of. That has been an absolute conscious decision, so conscious that we actually moved into our factory. I actually know the people that made these clothes. I know them by name. It is a great environment. We buy all of our product from what's called a rag house. And a rag house is basically a clothing sorter, it may be a better name for it. But these are huge companies, huge manufacturing sites, and basically all they're doing is sorting used clothing. They're probably the oldest form of recycling out there. These are third generation family run businesses. And secondhand clothing, unsorted, really has no value. But once all that used clothing can get put back together and become a commodity, like 100 pounds of cotton t-shirts, then there becomes value for it. And a lot of the value is third world countries will purchase some of it, car industry, hotel industry for rags. Wool is one of the most difficult ones because a lot of the business is for third world countries. A lot of third world countries aren't going to need heavy wool sweaters. It's just there's not a lot of people that are working with it. But it's wonderful for me because we can cut it all up and make new sweaters out of it. When our sweaters arrive, it's the pre-love team that takes care of all of the vintage. So we will sort through the bales. We open up the bales, we sort them into either colors and size or what we're looking for, what we're making, whatever it be. We do the first sort. Then whatever we cannot use, we then take a look at that and think, maybe we could use that for a kids line. So we have our kids line, we have our home line, so then we can use that pile. And any of that stuff that doesn't work for that, then we can donate to the school systems. We've done a lot of that. That goes back into the school system for arts and crafts. A lot of other smaller designers that do what we do. We have days where they can come and pick up our stuff that we can't use. So I'm like, hey, more the merrier. More people doing what I'm doing is even better. So then once we get back to our main product of stuff, we send everything for washing, and that's right here in the factory, which is amazing. And then it comes back, and then we do our own sort of sorting and processing. So we would color block it, size it, and then my team is responsible for putting together the vintages. So if a style that we're making takes 4 vintage sweaters, my team decides which 4 go together. And then they get bundled and bundled and bundled, and then out they go for cutting and sewing. Dead stock material is just been a new sort of leaf turn for us, and it's another sustainable practice. What it is basically the ends of rolls of fabric that basically become useless because you can no longer do a production run with them. There may be 1 meter, there may be 10 meters, there might be 100 meters, but it's still not enough to do a full production run for whatever company had purchased that. So those are constantly being thrown out, just tossed, because there's really no need for it. Now, with my wonderful relationship with my manufacturer, we're able to sort of get into warehouses, get into factory suppliers, and sort of buy up the bolts of fabric. We don't design any differently than any major design house in the world. The only thing is that we would source different fabrics. We do all of our sketches, the bodies, everything that works. And then we say, okay, that's going to be great, but what can we make that out of? Right. And then we start brainstorming on how it'd be great if it was made out of old raincoats. Imagine if that was made out of cotton shirts, you know, that kind of stuff. We opened Pre-Loved in 1995, so that's 20 years ago. The environmental aspect of the business was the most positive offshoot that I could have ever imagined. But was it at the forefront when we opened? No way. It was a concept of taking something old and making it new again, which is basically, you know, one of the oldest concepts out there. But by able to do that, but still make it extremely fashion forward. And I think that's what's really unique about Pre-Loved. And then the cherry on the top is the sustainable side of it.
It is a fact that the fashion industry is increasingly aware of its responsibility to the society and the environment, and eco-fashionists do not lessen their efforts to green the sector.